Joining us now, NBC News correspondent Priscilla Thompson and retired NYPD detective and director of the Black Law Enforcement Alliance, Mark Claxton. So, Priscilla, new details from the investigators, but give us a walkthrough of what we know as of right now.
Yeah, Jose, so there has been a wave of surveillance video that has been coming out over the past several days, helping to begin to understand a timeline of what happened in the moments both before and after this heinous shooting, but also now in the days leading up to it. Obviously, the big news being that police are now looking at that Greyhound bus ride from Atlanta to Port Authority, arriving on November 24th, so 10 days before this shooting. And of course, those photos from that hostel where it is believed that this person of interest suspect may have stayed, where he had that unguarded moment when he was talking to a woman there, taking down his mask so that we actually see his face. And so investigators are undoubtedly right now interviewing other people who may have seen or interacted with him, trying to figure out where he may have gone and what he may have been doing in those 10 days prior, if he was in New York City during that entire time, and if there are perhaps other unguarded moments where we again get those shots of his face. But we're also getting more surveillance video about what happened in the moments before and after the shooting, including now this new video which shows a man dressed as the suspect was getting off of a subway or exiting a subway station in Midtown less than an hour before the shooting occurred. Also footage of a man dressed in that way with that distinctive gray backpack walking down the sidewalk not far from the crime scene where we are, at one point stopping and appearing to peer at some trash bags there. And also this video showing someone again looking like the suspect riding an e-bike into Central Park. And so all of this is helping to build a more clear picture of what happened around the actual crime and also in the days leading up to it, with again the end goal being to be able to successfully identify who exactly this person is. A lot of threads to pull on, but at this point we have not seen that identification coming from authorities here. Jose?
Yeah, Mark, why do you think that we still don't have that identification? I know it's been 3 days, but there is so much forensic, photographic evidence. And, you know, you think that if this guy's been in New York for 10 days and he's getting on an e-bike and he's going to Starbucks and he's going, you know, he's staying at a hostel, he's going through the subway system, isn't there any way of tuning all of those bits of information down to an ID?
Sure there is, and I can guarantee you that given the amount of evidence that's even been publicly communicated, there's a period where there has to be some processing and evaluation and analysis of all of these bits of evidence, whether it be video evidence, whether it be forensic evidence, that has to be analyzed. You have to have fingerprint analysis. You have to. There's a process for acquiring the DNA information itself. And just keep in mind that even if there is a tentative identity, these professional investigators are going to prioritize at this point ensuring the integrity of this investigation. We have to begin to understand and look forward in this. And this is not only about arresting or apprehending the shooter, but also preparing a case that has to be successfully prosecuted. So these professional investigators are going to be analyzing all of the available evidence, acquiring additional evidence, additional witnesses, eye and ear witnesses if possible, and taking the necessary steps to have all of that information cataloged, itemized, creating a timeline and a positive identification solid enough so that there'll be a successful prosecution. I don't have any doubt that there will be an apprehension and arrest of the shooter in this particular case. But this is a very diligent, professional investigation, although it's gotten a lot of attention, and it is somewhat sexy, if you will, given all the circumstances, the timeline of it. But it's a process, and the process has to be respected, or else you end up having a wonderful showcase of an investigation and then a lousy prosecution, and they can't afford to have that happen.
Yeah, and so, Mark, what do you see behind some of these moments that have been captured on camera in different instances. So what do you see, for example, in that horrific moment? And we're seeing there what the suspected gunman was wearing. When we look at the videotape of the horrendous shooting that he carried out in the streets of Manhattan, you see there that they found three, according to police, three spent casings and three unused bullets at the scene of this horrible crime. The suspect, the shooter, had to work on the gun almost after every single shot. It seems that the clip was getting jammed. What do you see about the fact that that occurred? What stance this shooter took, how he just walked away afterwards, did not drop the weapon, and then all of these instances where he is covered, with the exception of these two pictures. What do you see in these instances?
Well, one thing, I know there was a lot of discussion about whether or not this individual was proficient at firearms, whether this was quote unquote professional, if you will. And that is a highly subjective kind of reference and framing. And I think what's most significant about the shooting itself and the firearm that was used is that the police have tentatively identified the weapon. It's a unique styled weapon that has a built-in noise suppressor. So that's been publicly reported by the police. And this particular weapon, after each discharge of a round, has to be chambered. You have to chamber in another round. So each time you fire it, you have to chamber a round in it. So here you have this highly unusual weapon. I know I've never seen it, but I'm not claiming to be proficient at it. You have this highly unique weapon with this noise suppressing device on it that requires the chambering of a round. So you may have an individual who is scrambling around trying to chamber a round, not realizing or recognizing that the weapon is discharged itself. But all of this is part of really creating a timeline, an evidence trail, a framework in which to describe what occurred from the point in which the victim left their hotel room and ended up being shot and killed on the street itself. And stuff like this uniquely styled weapon will come out and come forward as this thing advances, and it will all add to the building of this particular case.
And Priscilla, we can expect more images, more information coming out from the NYPD in the next hours or days.
That's right, including my colleague Charlie Geil, who is in Atlanta, reporting that the Atlanta police have now been contacted by the NYPD. When we asked them about that yesterday, they said that they had not been contacted by those authorities. So it appears that they are now in touch with them regarding this investigation, and again, trying to track down where that bus ticket may have been purchased, who may have purchased it, and of course, what his movements were in those 10 days that he may have been in New York City prior to this shooting.